Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is bad guy plans, who are some of the bad guys, and could the tribulation start September the 26th of 2022? So let's start with a refresher. So yesterday I talked about these. These are the Georgia Guidestones, and I won't go into all of that. It's in yesterday's broadcast. However, someone sent me something very interesting relating to this. As you recall, it said here, maintain humanity under 500 million. By the way, I said another wrong number yesterday. One of the brothers said, hey, that's not the correct number. So anyway, it's 500 million, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Now, here's what was sent today. This is a page from a book from Klaus Schwab. Now, who's Klaus Schwab? We'll get to that. At least 4 billion useless eaters, that's what we're called. If we're not one of the Moloch and Baal worshippers that worship Lucifer by name and sacrifice to him, then we're what they call useless eaters. At least 4 billion useless eaters have been eliminated, or will be eliminated, by the year 2050 by means of limited wars, organized epidemics of fatal, rapid-acting diseases and starvation, energy, food and water shall be kept at subsistent levels for the non-elite, that's us, starting with the white populations of Western Europe and North America, then spreading to other races. The populations of Canada, Western Europe, and the United States will be decimated more rapidly than on other continents, until the world's population reaches a manageable level of 1 billion, of which there's that same number, not an accident. Bible says in the mouth of 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. So here's the second witness saying the goal is to reduce the world population down to 500 million. 1 billion, of which 500 million will consist of Chinese and Japanese races, selected because they are people who have been regimented for centuries, in other words, they'll do as they're told, and who are accustomed to obeying authority without question. I'm going to read it again. At least 4 billion useless eaters, that's us, shall be eliminated by the year 2050 by means of limited wars, organized epidemics of fatal rapid-acting diseases and starvation, energy. Food and water should be kept at subsistent levels for the non-elite, starting with the white populations in Western Europe. Can you believe they say this? The Western Europe and North America, then spreading to other races. The population of Canada, Western Europe, and the United States will be decimated more rapidly than on other continents, until the world's population reaches a manageable level of 1 billion, of which 500 million will consist of Chinese and Japanese races, selected because they are people who have been regimented for centuries and who are accustomed to obeying authority without question. In other words, we're going to keep a few people around to be our slaves, to serve us, to do as we tell them to do. Unfortunately, there's more. So as we look real closely at this, and I've got this here, a much closer version so you can actually read it yourself, but let's go on. This comes to us from Benjamin Fulford, and it was just this past week. Headline, Khazarian Mafia, that's what he calls the international bankers or the deep state or the Moloch and Baal worshippers. The Khazarian Mafia hide in bunkers as war is declared. We've been talking about this for several months now, about how there is the war going on right now, and it's not a nuclear bomb war as much as it really is a spiritual war, but they're trying to remove these Moloch and Baal worshippers. The Khazarian Mafia hide in bunkers as war is declared. A formal declaration of war by the Anglo-Saxon Five Eyes group, that's 5 nations that have their intelligence group, the Five Eyes group, has now been made against the Khazarian Mafia, otherwise known as the Nazi Fourth Reich. I thought that was very interesting that he also gives it that name, the Nazi Fourth Reich. Here's the declaration of war sent by Queen Elizabeth II. She says, we've been repeatedly contacted around the world by the public health emergencies Some of the contacts have suggested grave crimes against humanity, up to and including genocide. We were first alarmed when we began to watch from afar. We found all of the counterintelligence to be true, and in fact, all the world's civilian governments were under military law in high treason. In other words, these Moloch and Baal worshippers has basically taken off the whole planet, and sadly to say, they have. We cannot evade the real and actionable, in other words, we have to do something about it, the actionable truth that mass murders have and are happening. We have to, by military and by martial law, issue this statement. As for rumors that Her Majesty is no longer with us, and I can't verify that, that's just him saying it. With war declared, the Khazari Mafia elite have retreated to their bunkers around Lake Geneva, Switzerland. One of the things I pray about almost every evening in my prayer closet, I send out the angels to destroy the evil works in Lake Geneva, Switzerland, the Octagon Group, and also Luxembourg. These evil people. If we could just, I'd like to think we'd get rid of all of them. That's probably pretty impossible until Jesus returns and uses the morning star to destroy them. But I'd like to think if we could at least reduce them down, perhaps God would consider that. 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people are called by my name, will humble themselves and repent and turn from their wicked ways, and I'll hear from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal their land. I'd like to think that that would be enough to give America and the world another 40 years. I know if we don't ask for it, we won't get it. So again, we've got to keep asking for it. Benjamin Fulford again, this is some weeks later. He says many other members of this bloodline are in positions of power throughout the West. For example, Mossad sent us proof last week that this Klaus Schwab, head of the Davos World Economic Forum, is a member of the Rothschild Family, which, of course, the report is that they are part of the international bankers, the Moloch and Baal worshippers, and the people that own and control the world. He goes on to say, and if you'll look at the article here, the picture, it says, "You will own nothing. I'm coming for your property. My name is Klaus Schwab. If you don't yet know who I am, you soon will." Schwab, remember, is a proponent of the Great Reset, or the totalitarian takeover plan. Hitlery, I better not say the rest of that word there, for her part is behind the fake, and I can't say that word, is going door to door to try to I can't say that word. You got to read that, okay? It's one of the reasons we go into video. That way you can read it yourself. Let's go on. What all this proves is that there is a group of people in Switzerland who can hand out special privileges to certain groups that make them sovereign and thus immune to all laws. In other words, they can do whatever they want to and they can get off. And of course, we've seen that with a lot of the people that rule the world. This is also true of privately owned groups like the World Economic Forum, headed by this Klaus Schwab. And by the way, this is what we're doing. We're looking up and answering the question, who is Klaus Schwab? And he goes on for the second time to say he's a Rothschilds, the WHO, run by their own slaves of the IMF. The World Economic Forum is working with the JB to ensure that most people survive the coming food shortages. I'll read that again. To ensure that some of the people, in other words, they get to survive the coming food shortages. That confirms further that they're planning massive food shortages, not because of famines, but because of them creating them. Citizens that have up-to-date anti-V documents will receive regular packages of plant-based protein products. Or, if Soylent Green is correct, Soylent Green said that it was going to be coming out in 2022, and that's right on the front. I put that out here, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, right on the front of their video cover. Soylent Green in 2022. And if you go to Revelation 18 and the 10 horns that shall make war, the 10 horns shall make war against her, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So the 10 horns is the world government. So we're coming to a time when we're probably going to be, not me, probably not you either, but many of the people in the world will be eating human flesh. Well, what is that? That's Moloch and Baal worship. That's worshiping their God, just like the abortion thing, okay? Causing our children to pass through the fire. Citizens that have up-to-date anti-V will receive regular package of plant-based, don't believe it, of probably Soylent Green. They get to live where the rest of us get starved. Now let's go on. Headline, World Arrests, Executions at Khazarian Mafia Takedown Accelerates. And this is October 25th of 2021. He says a series of arrests and executions and resignations worldwide signal that a major offensive against the Khazarian Mafia is underway. Multiple sources confirm. The head of Germany's central bank, skipping part of it, and this is again answering the question, who is Klaus Schwab? And many others are among those being removed, the sources say. Skipping down, the militaries worldwide have been given the green light to move. The good guys are taking out the last of the bad guys, and I hope and pray that this is true. As a matter of fact, we need to be praying that this is true, that the good guys are taking out the bad guys, hopefully giving the world more time. It started this weekend and will roll out over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now, this is dated October 25th. 2021. So here we are now in mid-November. It should be well on the way and hopefully getting to the point to where they're about to reveal it to the public. We'll roll out over the next 2 to 3 weeks. There may be intermittent outages of power, water, internet, and phones, so be ready. And I don't like to say this guy's name. He's a New Ager who has his own sources, says the EU hotels are booked with soldiers. He also says New Zealand citizens, by the way, New Zealand for a long time has been the testing grounds to see what the New World Order is going to be doing. Whatever they're going to try, they always start in New Zealand. So New Zealand is a future picture of what we can see coming to the rest of the world. So he says New Zealand citizens have been told to stay indoors and expect to hear, listen to this, explosions, shooting, and children screaming. Okay, so are we in the last days? Yes, and that's the next question we're about to come to. Are we in the tribulation, or is it very close? We'll get to that. In any case, now that war has been formally declared, the following principles of the KM honcho Klaus Schwab, or Rothschild, have been or will be removed. He goes on down to say, what these people all have in common, now I had to remove that big black space there, is lots and lots of names that I can't begin to say on publicly. Let's put it that way. What these people all have in common is that they're all among the 1,300 graduates of Schwab's Global Leaders for Tomorrow Slave Leader Academy. So the devil has a training ground to teach their people to be leaders. Why don't Christians have that? Why don't Christians have academies to train Christians to be leaders? Oh, well, we do. We have universities. No, not training them to be leaders. Matter of fact, a lot of times they're not training them to even teach and preach the truth. Now, Benjamin Fulford again. So who is the enemy? He says Switzerland and the Octagon Group, these people through about 700 high-level operatives. Look at that carefully. He says there's about 700 high-level operatives that control 90% of the transnational corporations. And we know that Klaus Schwab, whose mother was a Rothschild, third time he said that, of the Great Reset, World Economic Forum, reports to Carl, whatever that name is, I'm not going to say it. We also know that, I'm not going to say that, who owns The Economist and the Rothschilds report to, another guy I'll skip. These are people who control the rubber mask, I'm going to skip that, who now wants all humans to be taking the anti-V. And he says it is DNA altering. You remember about 3 days ago, I put out a program. If our DNA is altered, do we lose our salvation? So it's saying that the anti-V does alter our DNA. We also know that JB's boss, I got to skip that, is another member of the Octagon Group, and it's the real-life Spectre of the James Bond movie. Now, let's go to our next topic, and that is, could it be that the tribulation will start in 2022, specifically on September the 25th? So, in preparation for that, let's look at this. What starts the tribulation? Well, Daniel 9:27, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. But that's hard to spot. It may be that it's a little easier to spot this. Revelation 6:1 says, "And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder." I pray that we get to hear that noise of thunder. I want to know when the tribulation starts. Then you skip down, and then the first seal is a white horse being released, and it went forth conquering and to conquer. Meaning, if we don't get to hear when one of the seals is opened, one of the things that we can know for sure is that the tribulations has started is when you see massive mega wars taking place, probably World War III. Then if you go down to the second seal opened, which is a red horse, power is given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. Now, with that in mind, this headline says, major utility companies issue blackout warning for Missouri, Alabama, Mississippi due to JB. It says a Federal Reserve of the STL pipeline could jeopardize our energy supply. Could that be part of a tribulation starting? It goes on to say that the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission will discuss revoking the pipeline's permit during the November 18th hearing, which covers 650,000 homes and businesses in the St. Louis region, and the STL pipeline run from Illinois to Missouri, combating climate change. That's the reason they would shut down the pipeline, combating climate change. Goes on to say that this JB has revoked permits of the Keystone XL pipeline, frozen oil drilling off the coast of Alaska, skipping down. These emissions are a phase down of coal, and the reason is to provide further financial assistance to developing countries. So what we're going to do is turn off our gas and oil and give our money to other countries that are poor. That's their plan. JB appointed this guy in September, and it says he's giving the Democrats majority control of the 5-person commission. So, if you live in the center part of the United States, you might start expecting your electricity to be cut off, your heating oil, your propane, and all of the things that heat your home, if they have their way about it. Now, again, what we're looking at is, could it be that the tribulation is about to start? That tends to say yes, but there's more. Next headline, U.S. reactivates nuclear artillery unit in Germany, putting hypersonic nukes. I thought America didn't have hypersonic nukes, but according to what he's saying, they do. Putting hypersonic nukes within range of Moscow. That is kind of drawing a line in the sand. That's kind of kicking sand on the feet of your enemy that the prophecies say will be the enemy that takes America out. It goes on to say things on the world stage just got deadly serious. An American nuclear artillery unit has just been reactivated in Germany for the first time since the Cold War, and it is armed with a new long-range hypersonic weapon. It goes on to say both the Dark Eagle long-range hypersonic weapon, which can accelerate up to 4,000 miles per hour, and it seemed like Russia's moved at 8,000. I intended to look that up, but as I recall, it was 8,000 miles an hour. Anyway, which can accelerate up to 4,000 miles an hour, and the Typhoon launcher control system, both currently under development. It goes on to say the position, its task forces for a potential conflict against key adversaries such as Russia. So, we are kicking sand on the feet of our enemy. We are daring our enemy to attack. This is a problem. But see, you might be saying, I've heard people say, well, JB, he's stupid. JB, he's doing bad things. He's just a bad guy. No, I think he's doing what he is told to do. I think he's pleased with the things that he is doing. And see, since he is controlled by the Moloch and Baal worshippers, think about it. How do you get Russia to take out America? And why would you get Russia to take out America? Because America is taking out the Moloch and Baal worshippers. So, the Moloch and Baal worshippers that control most of the governments of the world get the Russians to do their bidding. So if the suitcase nukes don't take us out, the Russians will. And that's lining up with prophecies. Next headline. China threatens Australia with a heavy attack. It says China has issued a chilling warning to Australians, declaring a heavy attack will follow if they come in defense of Taiwan. It says if Australian troops come to fight in the Taiwan Straits, China is going to attack. Does that sound like that might be a big war? Does that sound like that might be the start of the tribulation? See, we're seeing a lot of these things lining up. We're seeing a lot of nations angry at each other and threatening war like we've never seen before. Next headline. Russia moving tanks, artillery, and troops toward Ukraine. Again, Belarus asks for nukes. The Russian army is once again moving artillery, tanks, troops towards this border in Ukraine. Is it the West that has provoked this? In other words, could it be that the Moloch and Baal worshippers are causing America to do things to make the Russians angry so that we will attack, so that they can remove their enemy? The Moloch and Baal worshippers can remove their enemy. So all of this could be saying, yes, the tribulation could. I don't know that it will. We pray it won't. We pray that we're going to get more time. But it could be that September 25th of 2022 is the start of the tribulation. Hey, this is Stan, and I am in front of the church. That is the new sign that you guys gave us, and I wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's Whataburger. That's our new sign. That is all lighted up. People pull through Whataburger and they place the order here, and they have to look up at our sign. And this is my thank you to all of you. You gave us that sign. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I was shown a secret door that links the feasts to the prophecies of Revelation. For the first time, the book of Revelation can be understood. It can be put in correct chronological order. I got 30 revelations, 2 visions, and 1 audible voice. One prophetic word said, there's a lock that I put over a word in Revelation that I'm going to open to you, and it will turn many books written on the end-time message into obsolete books. That's this book. This is the granddaddy. If you want to understand Bible prophecy, that's the book to get. Miss the mark. Well, what is the most important information every beating heart on the globe needs to know? Well, after except Jesus, of course, it would be don't take the mark of the beast, because those taking the mark of the beast do not get soul death, but they're tossed into the lake that burns with fire and brimstone for all eternity with the beast, the false prophet, and 1,000 years later, Lucifer, and they have no escape. Miss the Mark is the book you give to people that you love, you don't want to see tossed into the lake of fire. God's warnings to America explains the modern dreams and visions and audible voices I believe are from God. Dimitri Duduman, Michael Boldea, Leslie Johnson, Henry Groover, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett, Maurice Sklar, Augusto Perez, Doug Metzger, Bree Keaton, and much more. Tribulation Secrets in Daniel explains how to spot the Antichrist early and what to do, his physical appearance, sound of his voice, how he rises to power, the fact that Nebuchadnezzar will be a resurrected Antichrist and beast. He rises from the bottomless pit, explains the 7 final world governments. How pre-trib won, how the big lie beat the truth, and the people would have it so. It settles the rapture question, why pastors teach pre-trib. It explains how the 501c3 board members actually hire, fire, and tell the preacher what he is going or is not going to preach. It also covers the secret door, what is the morning star, what is the wrath of God, eternity entering time, who are the nations, what is an overcomer, proof of the post-trib, and 25 pre-trib questions answered. It will answer the question for you about the rapture. Berkey water filters have arrived. You see, most companies these days are out of Berkey water filters, but we just got a new shipment. Berkey water filters at prophecyclub.com. The Watchman package. Get 2 2-foot by 3-foot color updated charts, my handwritten book of the Book of Revelation, 5 DVDs where I taught the School of the Watchman, and 5 Secret Door books to understand Bible prophecy, valued at $355, all for a gift of just $200 at prophecyclub.com. Terry Sock is a prophecy student, and he reads his King James Bible, and he believes in winning souls so much he is supporting the Prophecy Club so that we can win more souls. So if you want to support someone that loves prophecy and wants to win souls, I'm going to send you to cornerstoneassetmetals.com, where you can get all sorts of precious metals, gold, silver, rhodium, palladium, and things like that. cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Click like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend.